The martial arts academy was state-of-the-art. Professional mats, mirrored walls, equipment that cost more than most people's cars. Elite Defense Training Academy catered to wealthy clients and serious martial artists in Los Angeles. Marcus Hayes stood at the edge of the mat with his 9-year-old son Tyler, here for Tyler's first trial class at 37. Marcus was a single father, construction worker, and former Marine who'd done 2 tours in Iraq. Money was tight, but Tyler had been begging for martial arts lessons for months. This academy was expensive, $300 a month, but it was the closest one to their apartment. Marcus had called ahead asking about financial assistance. The answer had been a polite no. Still, they offered a free trial class. So here Marcus stood, watching his son nervously adjust his borrowed white belt. A woman approached, late 30s, blonde hair in a neat bun, wearing a pristine white gi with a brown belt indicating high-level mastery. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd never lost a fight. "You must be Tyler's father. I'm Alexandra Sterling. I own Elite Defense. Your son is in the beginner's class over there." She gestured to a group of children warming up. "Thank you for letting him try a class," Marcus said. "I know it's a long shot, but if there's any way we could work out a payment plan—" "We don't do payment plans," Alexandra said dismissively. "This is a professional academy. If you can't afford it, there are cheaper dojos across town." Marcus felt his face flush, but kept his voice calm. "I understand. We'll make the most of today's class." Tyler ran over. "Dad, that lady said you used to be a Marine. Did you do martial arts in the Marines?" "I did. Marine Corps martial arts program. It's different from what they teach here." Alexandra overheard and smiled condescendingly. "McMap, that's more about combat than art. Here we teach traditional Aikido. I hold an 8th Dan black belt. I've studied under masters in Japan for 15 years. It's a completely different level of discipline." "I'm sure it is," Marcus said neutrally. "Actually," Alexandra said, an idea forming, "since your son is trying a class, perhaps you'd like to try one too? We could spar. Let me show you what real martial arts looks like compared to military brawling." The challenge was clear. She wanted to embarrass him in front of her students and his son. Marcus looked at Tyler, who was watching with worried eyes. Then he looked at Alexandra's confident smile. She thought this would be easy, thought she'd put this working-class Marine in his place. "Only if you promise not to cry," Marcus said quietly. The students watching gasped. Alexandra's smile turned cold. "On the mat, now." They faced each other. Alexandra's students formed a circle, clearly expecting their sensei to demolish this presumptuous parent. Tyler stood nervously by the edge, clutching his borrowed GI. Alexandra bowed formally. Marcus returned it. Then she came at him fast. A series of precise Aikido techniques, redirections, joint locks, movements that had won her dozens of competitions. Marcus didn't fight her techniques. He didn't need to. He'd spent 2 years in close-quarters combat situations where Aikido's flowing redirections meant nothing against raw force and speed. He waited for the opening he knew would come, the moment when her technique required her to commit her weight to a throw. When it came, Marcus didn't resist the throw. He went with it, used the momentum, and came up behind her with a control hold that was both gentle and completely inescapable. First point," Marcus said quietly, releasing her immediately. Alexandra's face was red. She came at him harder, faster, using techniques that would have demolished most opponents. Marcus stayed calm, moved economically, and each time found the opening. He never hurt her, never used excessive force, just demonstrated, again and again, that technique alone wasn't enough against someone who'd been in actual combat. After the 5th time Marcus put her in a controlled position, Alexandra stepped back, breathing hard. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" she demanded. "Fallujah, Ramadi, places where if you make a mistake you don't lose a tournament. You lose your life or your brother's lives. I learned from Marines who'd been doing this for 20 years. And from Iraqi insurgents who taught me hard lessons about underestimating opponents." He looked at her students. "Your sensei is incredibly skilled. Her technique is flawless. But she's been training in controlled environments against opponents who follow rules. I trained in places where there were no rules. That's the difference. Not better or worse. Just different." Alexandra was silent for a long moment. Then she bowed deeply. You're right. I challenged you because I assumed military training was crude and unsophisticated. I was wrong. Your control is exceptional. You could have hurt me multiple times and chose not to. She looked at Tyler. Your father is a true martial artist. He has something we practice but few achieve. Absolute control combined with real-world effectiveness. I'd be honored to have him teach alongside me. I'm not a teacher, Marcus protested. I'm a construction worker trying to get my son into martial arts. You're both. Tyler trains here free of charge. Full enrollment. And you teach a class twice a week, practical self-defense for adults. I'll pay you $100 per hour, 2 hours a week. That's $800 a month. Marcus stared. $800 a month for teaching what I already know? For teaching what my students need to learn. I can teach them beautiful technique. You can teach them how to use it when it actually matters. That's worth far more than $800, but it's what I can afford to pay. Why? Marcus asked. I just embarrassed you in front of your students. No, you taught me humility, and you did it without hurting me or disrespecting my art. That's exactly the kind of teacher I want in my dojo. 6 months later, Marcus's practical self-defense class was the most popular at Elite Defense. He taught students how to apply traditional techniques in real-world scenarios, how to stay calm under pressure, how to fight when fighting was the only option but stop the moment it wasn't necessary. Alexandra and Marcus became friends, learning from each other. She taught him the history and philosophy behind martial arts. He taught her how to adapt technique to chaos. At Tyler's first belt promotion, Alexandra gave a speech. 6 months ago, I challenged a parent to spar because I wanted to prove my training was superior. Instead, he proved that real mastery isn't about rank or titles. It's about effectiveness, control, and the wisdom to know when to fight and when to teach. Thank you, Marcus, for that lesson. And congratulations to Tyler, who has his father's spirit and is becoming an excellent martial artist. Tyler beamed with pride. After the ceremony, he asked Marcus, Dad, when you said only if you promise not to cry, did you really think you'd beat her? I knew I wouldn't have to beat her, Marcus said. I just had to show her that respect is earned through humility, not just skill. The crying part was a joke. She's tougher than half the Marines I served with. If this story inspired you, like, share, and subscribe for more stories about earning respect through character. Comment about a time someone challenged you and you surprised them. Your story might inspire someone to never underestimate others today.